Secondly, in verse 9, he says in verse 9, I know your works, I know your tribulation. Remember yesterday, thlipsis? I know your poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of those who are saying that they're Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. This is verbal abuse. Blasphemy is verbal abuse. So Jesus knows our financial and emotional pains, our poverty, our tribulation, and he knows when we're verbally abused. Isn't that interesting? Many young people, right now it's horrendous to go through school. For a lot of people, there's so much abuse. Do you read about it? The kids that end their own lives because they were so shamed or so abused in some, whether it's at higher levels, secondary levels, lower, primary levels, doesn't matter. There's abuse going on everywhere. You know what Jesus says? Hey, I'm your greatest sympathizer. Now there's another Greek word, sympatheo is the Greek form. Sympathy is just a transliterated Greek word. You understand that? Transliterated means it comes right from Greek into English, and they don't even change it. Agonizomai, agony. See, it's just sympathy, sympatheo. It just comes across into our language. What Jesus is saying, I feel with you. That's Hebrews chapter 2. Jesus said, in all points, I've been tempted like as you, but I didn't sin. So what is he talking about? He's talking about this. If you ever did a short study, a quick survey of church history, you'd find that they were right at the front end in the time of Peter and Paul with Nero. He started the martyrdom on a large scale in the Roman Empire of prominent Christians. But now John is with Domitian. Domitian, the emperor, was personally hunting down John because he was the last general, as it were, of the Christian church, and he was going to get him. And then, Trajan, Marcus Aurelius, Septimus, Severus, all the way through, they did their thing. There were actually 10 persecuting Roman emperors, but boy, this one was the worst, Diocletian. He was smart. By the way, he's made history. He's the only Roman emperor that retired. How do you like that? Retired. All the rest of them were hacked to death in battle or died of dissipation or were assassinated. Not Diocletian. He was so smart. He really was. He was like a civil engineer. I don't know how he got to be emperor, but he was brilliant. And when he became emperor, he says, the streets of Rome are running with garbage and sewerage. And he redid all the plumbing. And he said, the roads are bumpy and people don't like it. He redid the roads. And he said, the legions aren't getting enough food, and he redid the distribution. And he said the aqueducts are falling down, and he redid the aqueducts. So he was really an engineer. He could see systematically how to inspire people to do their job to fix things. Well, he heard reports that 9 predecessors have been working with these people that were a problem. These people that were a problem, they didn't go along with the festivals. They didn't worship Saturnalia, and they didn't worship Venus, and they didn't worship all the other Roman pantheon of gods. That wasn't all. It wasn't that they wouldn't go to the temples. They wouldn't come to the sporting events. Do you remember what we learned yesterday about Ephesus? The sporting events were done totally unclothed. Nudity. And Christians would not go and watch naked wrestlers, naked boxers, naked sprinters, naked discus throwers. So they said, we won't go because it dishonors God. So they wouldn't go to the temples and worship the gods of Rome. They wouldn't go to the sporting events. Why, they wouldn't even go to the theater. Because Greek tragedies didn't have R-rated scenes that the camera, gets just an angle, so they call it, in the movie reviews, partial nudity. Now that's an oxymoron. Nudity is either nudity or it's not nudity, but in America it's partial nudity. And they position the camera to be just blocking certain things, okay? They didn't have any cameras in the Greek theater. Right on the stage, whatever was in the scene, they did it. In fact, the word pornography, was the reference for a woman in the theater that sold tickets by doing sexual acts in the Greek Roman plays. That's the original word, porne. If you look at, right-click in Logos and go back into, those deeper parts and see the history of the words, That's where it is. That's where it comes from. So Diocletian says, whoa, they won't go to the theater, they won't follow our calendar, they won't go to our gods. I'm going to take care of them. What he did is he found a 3-part plan. He says, I'm going to, number one, I'm going to find every leader of all these groups, and I'm going to either put them in jail or kill them. So the pastors he got rid of. Number two, he said, I'm going to find where they meet, and wherever they meet, I'm going to destroy that building. There's no meeting place of Christians that has been found anywhere in the world that predates the 4th century. None. They're all destroyed. Diocletian was systematic. I mean, he did all the water in the empire, he did all the Christians in the empire. And finally he said, I'm going to destroy the most important thing that seems to bind them all together. It's that holy book of theirs. And he systematically destroyed every complete copy of the Bible. There is not one single manuscript copy of the Bible, the entire Bible, that predates the 4th century. Why? He destroyed them all. What we do have is 25,000 fragments. And what the Christians did, they were smart. They heard what was going on, and the word came to their town, and so they took their Bibles and they tore out each book and passed them out. And so the Bible got fragmented. And that's why we have so many manuscripts, fragmentary pieces. So that's what Diocletian did, and he got the closest to extinction. And Smyrna is the front end of this. This is God preparing the church for the persecution that's coming. And in these just 4 short verses, Nero had already done his thing. Domitian, as Jesus was writing to Smyrna, was starting his thing. And Diocletian, by the way, aren't these great little statuary images? When Bonnie and I, we teach the same class in other parts of the world. When we just taught last fall in Italy, we took our class on a field trip, and this is from the National Museum in Rome up on the Campo di Glio, and they have a statue of every one of these emperors, and it's eerie to look into their eyes and to think, this is the man who tried to snuff out Christianity, and he couldn't. He started losing more legionnaires than in battle. Because the legionnaires who were assigned to kill the Christians, the Roman legionnaires would go and stand with them and say, I can't participate. I too am a Christian. And some of his very best soldiers were being executed as Christians. Wow. So he retired, said, I'm not going to do this. By the way, if you like church history, current issues, prophecy, apologetics, discipleship. In fact, this is one of my favorite things. I do Q&A sessions. That's our QR code for our channel on YouTube, and you're welcome to it. In fact, I love all the students that in New York. Did any of you meet Brandon Joy? Anybody meet him? A Mr. Personality, isn't he? Yes. He came on YouTube and left a comment. He is very friendly. And he left a comment and it stirred up the comments there. Okay, so what is the book of Revelation telling us? Get ready. Hard times are on the horizon for Christ's church. They were on the horizon in the 1st century. Do you all see this? This is the Circus Maximus. This is the Palatine Hill where Caesar lived. These are Christians dipped in tar, crucified, and being burnt alive while they're crucified. And these are the huddled saints with the lions coming out. More Christians died in the Circus Maximus than any other spot known in history. That gigantic horse racing, chariot racing theater became the spot where Rome purged their Christians. So it's a very special place for us.